call this meeting to order, and we'll start with some introductions.
Forrest Dunbar.
Pete Peterson.
Barbara Jones.
Dick Training.
Jackie Daigle.
Eric Croft.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's go to new business, and we'll get a vote by mail update.
Well, I'm going to take this out of order, Mr. Chair, and do a mock election update first.
Yeah.
So, for the mock election, the first thing that I want to tell you, and then it'll feed into the vote by mail update, is number one, I am so thankful we decided to do a mock election. We are...
You're finding now that we would have found in April, March.
It has just been such a learning experience, and we've got everything, almost everything is done. The database is set up, the envelopes are done, the ballots have been printed. So everything is working, but it's not without some snags. One of the things that I will tell you, I'm going to send out a notice later today to change the date of the mock election from the 5th to the 12th. We ended up with a few problems with this vendor and this machine. They were here for SAT-2A testing, and it didn't go quite as well as it should have. Dennis told them they should have done more testing before they got here, and so they're coming back. They will probably be back for about 2 more weeks, and on Monday Dennis talked to them and said, you need to pay for RDI's time for a week, and so Bell and Howell agreed to do that. So we'll see what happens next. We have base functionality, so we'll be able to operate even if we end up where we're at with the machine, but some of the additional functionality and reports and things like that are not done yet. So that is one good thing that we're learning. But that's about it for the mock election, and I'll send out an update to all Muni employees today about the date change.
Okay. And so when are those mock election ballots going to be distributed?
The ballots are going to be mailed on Monday, the 27th. So that was a different delay. That wasn't entirely Bell and Howell's delay. We had a couple of issues regarding the data we were getting from the state. Again,
The problem with the address problem, the
Yes.
third layer or something like that, Department C or D or F, they weren't getting that here.
That is correct. So, Cammie and Dennis figured out when the state was sending over the voter registration database, it had no apartment number and no condo number. So we had to go back to the state and reconfigure what that data looked like coming
Put that
from
out
them.
there so you can capture it.
Yes, they had it. It just somehow they hadn't identified it to come to us or some issue like that. So we got that corrected. So we got the data to our printer very late. It was due like October 6th, and we didn't get it to the printer until like November 14th.
Wow.
So anyway, that for all of those reasons, the mailing is going to go out on Monday, and then the election will be on the 12th. So that gives employees, including you, 2 weeks to get those back to us. All right?
And so are we putting one of our drop boxes in City Hall so they could drop it off if they want or something? Or
No, we're not, because it's too expensive. It costs me about $1,000 to have someone pick these up and take and deliver them. So what we're doing instead is we're going to have some portable drop boxes. They're not fancy, they're just the basic silver ballot boxes that you're used to. We'll have one of those at City Hall, and then we'll have one at City Hall all week, and starting on Tuesday, and then the following week we'll have people stationed at APD and the permit center, so we can encourage them to drop their ballots off too.
Dick?
Mr. Chairman, question, Barbara. Are you going to check the spell of the signatures to make sure they remain the employees' signatures correct in the system? Because you were saying there may be differences, you may not have all the signatures. So this gives a good test run on the mock election to make sure the signatures are in there.
Yes, we'll run the ballots through the intake verification system. We know the pool of voters in the mock election is this about, 1,200 to 2,000. And if they're not in that database, they're going to get rejected. So you should have the other Richard Trainey try to vote. He can come here or get a ballot, and we'll see if his ballot is rejected.
Rick will do that
That's
for
the
me.
whole point of it. And then when we go into the signature verification system, which are those 4 computers set up over there, we've done some testing on it already, and it looks pretty good. You can see Richard Trainey comes up, and then your envelope comes up, so we can verify the signature. So we will definitely be doing that. One of the tasks that Jackie and I have been working on is Jackie has a letter that says you didn't sign your envelope, and then she has another letter that says it didn't match. And so our goal is to get those letters out the same day that we get your envelope. And voters, Jackie and I are calling those the opportunity to cure letters. And voters have the opportunity from the date we process it until the day before the public session of Canvas. And then if they can get a form back to us with a signature and an identifier, then we'll count that ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Opportunity to what?
Opportunity to cure.
Cure.
Yeah, it's a defect you have to have a valid signature so we can identify that it's you who voted that ballot, and it's a defect. So you can cure the defect before the public session of Canvas. If you don't cure the defect, you'll get a letter that says your ballot was not counted because you didn't sign the envelope. Now, in addition to that, as you know, there's about 218,000 registered voters in Anchorage, and of those, we expect to be sending ballots to about 180,000 of those. We know that there's 105,000 signatures in the database, and we have letters going out. The state had some, and then we're sending letters out to another 57,000 people. So that postcard, which cost us about $25,000, is going out this week. So Jackie did a really good job designing the postcard. So people are going to get a postcard. It says official election mail, and you open it up. We actually copied a Republican letter, and it says, hey, we don't have your signature, and we need your signature. And then you sign on the back and then tape it up and mail it back in. So it's
you on TV when Jackie sends these out so the public knows to expect this in the mailbox?
Well, a press release went out today. So the press release went out today, and then the mailer will go out before the end of the month. All right?
So press release, what stations or who's going to cover that? Or where did you hear about it?
We got an email about it.
Oh, you got an email.
Yeah.
So,
On our press release list has 146 people on
I
it.
see. All right. Well, it shouldn't be a secret then.
Nope. So people are starting to hear about it, and then our next big task is voter contact. All 218,000 are going to get a postcard on about January 3rd. So January 3rd, you're going to get a postcard that says, we're going to vote by mail. Here is the address that we have on file with the state voter registration database. This is where your ballot is going to be mailed. If this is not your address, update your address.
As we get closer to the actual election, how much money do we have budgeted for digital advertising to let people know that it's happening by vote by mail?
Well, we have, Amanda asked to put aside about $2,000 for Facebook advertising, and so we have that set aside. And then we have probably, I'm thinking maybe around $20,000 or $30,000. And what I have been meeting with some folks, and I'm kind of talking about this community engagement and outreach. And we met with the 4 stations, television stations. And Amanda contacted them and said, what can you do for this amount of money, and what can you do for $5,000, what can you do for $10,000? And so she has some proposals back that I have not seen. I'll need to take a look at that.
So you're saying $20,000 to $30,000 for TV ads? That's what you're talking about.
TV, radio, that's about it for the campaign. Now, I would like to suggest that we're really going to be able to leverage that amount. We have a couple of things going on. John Crabb at the video center at the library is working on the videos. Amanda wrote the videos, and John is filming them right now.
She wrote the script?
Well, so we took the script and she transcribed the videos that you've seen before from the lower 48 that we liked. She transcribed them, edited them to fit us, the team, Jackie, Amanda, me, Dennis, Cammie. We edited them, and I believe the Outreach and Education Committee did as well. And they were edited until we were satisfied, and then they went to John Crabb. So John is videoing the scripts as they were written. Now, the problem is, how do we get those to the radio stations and to the TV stations? And that's where we thought we needed some actual cash money. I would like to request...
If you get them to me, I will run them around, Barbara.
Okay.
No cost. I'm all over town. You get them to me, I'll drop them at every radio TV station.
They send them electronically nowadays anyway.
Well, one of the requests...
It used to be a master I'd have to drop off at every TV station.
Yesterday I met with Ona Browse in the mayor's office, and we're going to have Education and Outreach Committee meeting of the stakeholders on, I believe it's December 3rd, will be that meeting on a Monday. And Amanda recommended, and I asked one of our election workers, her name is Carolyn Jensen Hall, if she'd be interested in taking over the outreach and education. Carolyn has an undergraduate degree in communications and is working on her master's in public policy at UAA or APU. Yeah, it must be UAA. She has worked for us a year ago as an election worker, so she knows what we're doing. She's actually doing a paper in her master's class on vote by mail. So she's accepted that position, and then she'll coordinate it from here. Yesterday, Ona Browse offered me a couple of people from the administration to assist, to help coordinate, to make sure that we've got a written plan, was what she suggested. You may know one of the persons. She said he had been involved in campaigns before. His name is Charles Boyle. And then the other one is Jim Jager at the port, who did the SAP kickoff communication. So we're excited to have those people working with us. In addition, Amy Kaufman in the mayor's office is doing outreach to a lot of the welcoming Anchorage communities and various communities. Last week she asked me for a brochure in Word so it could be translated into Korean. She set up something called FormStack, and on FormStack there's a link now where you can request someone come to speak to your community group about vote by mail. And I've spoken with the League of Women Voters, and they have agreed to coordinate those outreach events and have people go talk to people. And the League of Women Voters is also doing tours at the election center once a month from now until the election. We had our first tour last week. We had about maybe 6 people here at the tour, and I thought it went really well. So we're doing some things. I do not think we have enough money for outreach and education, Mr. Dunbar. I think that we are doing our best to leverage what little we have. Ona suggested to me that all of the videos be played during the news, and that when we are ready for that, that's what we buy. And
I want John Crab to play him too on our TV station. Every time that swimming is going on, I want that thing playing. Others are watching. I want them to see
Good idea.
Well, I think it'd be great if we could come up with a jingle so that we could tie our TV and radio ads together, and so you get, the jingle gives you more bang for your buck. It's more easily recognized. You know, the advertising specialists will tell you that it takes between 3 and 4 views of an ad or hearing an ad before it actually penetrates, where they'll actually sort of remember it. And so if you have a jingle, then you can reduce that by 50%. And so with our limited budget, the jingle would actually help us out a lot, I think.
Well, if you would talk to John about that, and then he's going to be here filming on December 5th, we should have the videos done by the end of December. So if you guys could get that to us so we could get it incorporated now, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, obviously we need somebody come up with, a couple of lines of words for the jingle, and then we could just put some music behind it. But
well, our theme has pretty much been vote by mail is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So if you can think of a jingle to go with that, that would be great.
Easy as 1, 2, 3, simple as ABC.
Get a Michael Jackson recording.
We'd have to pay money for that. You're probably correct. Anyway, I was saying I looked at my calendar, and you said something about a meeting on December 3rd. That's actually a Sunday, so it's probably the 4th.
The 4th then, right. I'm sorry. I was thinking 31 days.
It's 30 in November, is that what it is,
So if you'd like me to just run through, I've mentioned some of it, and I won't go over any of that, but I'll just give you a couple more updates about vote by mail in general. We're still working with the Division of Elections. Dennis and I have a pending meeting coming up soon on cybersecurity with an expert who's working with the state, and we're going to take that information, and then we're going to meet with the city and make sure that we have a cybersecurity plan and that our system here is good. And number 2, then we're going to have an emergency plan in the event of any cybersecurity issues. Our TV is set up and all of our cameras are set up. We just need to turn it on. It's not on now, but it does work.
Mr. Trainee?
Since we're in this room, Barbara, where's your emergency power supply at? If the system feeding the power dies, where's the emergency power supply that we can throw the switch to reactivate it?
No emergency power supply.
Does our disaster people have an emergency generator that we can put here? I just don't want it in case something happens. When we will throw the switch, turn the power back on to make sure the election process. The emergency center, do they have any power supplies, or MLMP can bring a generator down here? Looks like something hooked up for the day of counting. Plus or minus a couple days.
For election week or something.
I will check about that, Mr. Trainee. I do know that all of our systems are set up so that if there is a power shutdown, they close gracefully. But I will check that.
To be able to throw a switch, and I don't know if you're geared up to even feed power in here, but it would be nice if we could do that, just as an emergency. Hopefully you never need it, but stuff happens.
I will find out the answer to that.
So we're set up not to lose any information if the power goes out.
We will not lose any information if the power goes out.
But if it's down for a couple days or even down for a day, you just got the public warning what happened.
Right.
So what happens if, earthquake? I don't know how a pretty solid building, but
Well, we do have an emergency operations plan. It has been in effect for quite some time. It is called the worst case scenario, and Elizabeth Jensen wrote it, if some of you are familiar with Elizabeth. Jackie updated it last year. So we are pretty good. I think one of the most important things that we learned after the 2012 election issue is that Hurricane Sandy, the most important thing you can do in an election is extend election day. And so our code authorizes the clerk to contact the magistrate and extend election day or extend voting. So my idea was, at the time when we ran out of ballots at 60% of the polling locations, all we needed to do was extend election hours, voting hours, instead of saying we ran out of ballots. And so part of the emergency plan right now is we contact the magistrate's office ahead of time. We have an emergency contact, and we can contact the magistrate and extend voting hours. So in the event of an earthquake, we would do our best to secure everything. However, I would like to suggest that life is more important, life and public safety, and we would just extend the election. It might be a day, it might be a week, it might be a month, but that would be my recommendation and how we would do that.
Mr. Trainee?
Wherever you're going to have a big election, because we've got the mayor running, and you've got that little citizen initiative out there, the bathroom thing. It's going to be a big election. A lot of people here crowding this place to see how these votes. So the public can walk in during the election and on the other side of the yellow line, or are we not going to let the public in here?
No, the system is set up so that the public comes in that door. This door will be locked. That's the handicap accessible door, and the public will come in, check in at the new counter, by the way, if you notice the new counter up there, and they will check in, they will get badged, they will have to have a lanyard. The public has a yellow lanyard. They stay on the yellow brick road. They cannot get off the yellow brick road. If somebody needs to get closer to someone, they have to, like if they're an observer checking, then they have to sign a confidentiality agreement. They get to get close enough to see what the election workers are doing, but they've signed confidentiality that they won't disclose. So those are
Unlike some elections, we're going to have a big turnout with this one.
So on to the other collaboration with the Division of Elections is data sharing. I've mentioned a few issues we've had with data with the state. Dennis and I are going to be meeting with them next week to tell them what the deadlines are coming up for data sharing. We expect data on December 14th. We're going to expect data before the election. We just need the state to know exactly what those dates are, and that the data has to be in the correct format on that deadline. We had in the mock election, we asked for the data from the state on one date. We thought the GIS process would take a day, and then we turned it over to Bell and Howell. The GIS process took a week. So we have, we learned that lesson. We're going to set up these deadlines and make sure that we meet them. All right? Technology and equipment, everything is working fine as far as technology and equipment, except the little issues with the Bell and Howell system, which I've discussed. We haven't paid them, so that's the best news. And we won't pay them until it's delivered as expected. So they have some incentive here. The space, you know, I will tell you one thing that I've learned. I have my wool socks on, and Jackie, I bet, has her boots on.
Actually,
It is cold.
Cold concrete?
Well, it is cold being over here working on concrete, but outside of wearing wool socks, I love this space. So thank you all very much for what you've done to fund it. It is just a great space. The AO, Dean and Amanda and I and Amy Strohmeyer are working on an AO. We do have some changes that we have to ask you to do. Dennis has asked to see the draft by December 8th. We've asked Dean to draft it because Dennis is too expensive and we're running out of his money. The major and most important thing that's going to be in the AO that I need your help and support, and we've talked about this a little bit before, there are 218,000 registered voters in Anchorage. Of those, it's about 40,000 of those voters are in a status called LMPU or UN, list maintenance, purged, or undeliverable. We are asking you in the code not to make us mail to those people. 40,000 people who are probably long been moved. Their address is not a good address, and we need to save that money.
Maybe deceased somewhere.
They're probably not deceased.
But those people could still vote, right? They would go
Absolutely.
to a center, right?
So
that's the difference. Otherwise, we're not doing voter suppression, is my point. Right?
We are not.
Vote caging or something like that.
No.
We are not going to proactively mail the ballots if we think they're gone.
That is correct, Mr. Dunbar. They are going to be part of the 218,000. They're going to get a postcard. The postcard is going to say, this is the address. The postcard is forwardable. So they will get it forwarded at their new address. It will say, if this is not your address, correct it with the Division of Elections before a certain date.
Right.
If those voters don't do that before we need the download, which is about 45 days before the election, we want you not to authorize us to send to those because the cost is just too high. And you are correct. Everyone that's on the list can still vote. They can call us and ask for a ballot. We'll mail a ballot to them if they give us a correct address. If they insist that's the correct address, we'll still mail it. They can go to an accessible vote center. That is correct.
Okay.
All right? So that is one of the key features of the AO. We also need to make sure that the accessible vote centers are changed. We're not going to probably be at UAA and the airport. We would like to change the Chugiak Eagle River location to Town Center, and Amy Demboski and Mr. Dyson are agreeable to that. So those are two of the key features of the AO.
So normally they vote over at the senior center or something in Eagle River, right?
That is the accessible vote center right now, and so Jackie is working on a plan for both senior centers, both the Chugiak Senior Center and the Anchorage Senior Center, and we will have someone there a couple of days during election week to collect ballots. We will not have blank ballots or envelopes there, so people just have to bring their existing ballots.
All right.
I don't have anything specific to report about communication. Financial assistance, Rose is helping us with financial assistance. We're, doing our best with money. Things are going to be very, very close. I thank you for the extra money that you've given us. I am looking forward to rolling over to a new year to having a new operating budget. We're basically, the clerk's office is out of money for 2017. Election still has some project money, but, we're just trying to get ready and it's just costly. But I will keep you posted on that. Election administration, I think that's pretty important that we mention that Amanda is gone. I am stepping up as the election administrator. I've asked Carol Thompson from the state of Alaska, who manages the absentee, which is outgoing mail. She mails about 40,000 ballots a year, to assist me as co-administrator. Amanda recommended having 3 people take over her duties. Carolyn Jensen Hall, or Hall Jensen, will be doing the outreach and education. Nina Mangini, a longtime election worker, will be kind of working on the review team, resolution team, intake system over here. And Cindy Hawkins, another election worker that's worked for us a few years, she was the Dropbox supervisor last year, did a great job. She is going to work as our data technology expert. So she's going to work on those data transfers and checking the data. And then I'll just be managing the day-to-day stuff. And as you know, Lisa is going to be acting clerk in the clerk's office. So that's the plan for right now. Community engagement and outreach, I've told you a little bit about that. I've got some great help. Any ideas would be much appreciated. The stakeholders group meets next Thursday. And then our committees are meeting quite regularly. The steering committee also has a meeting in December. And one of the other highlights of our outreach and education, I contacted Bill Pop this week. Bill said that he would do a vote-by-mail presentation at your January AEDC luncheon. He's been on the stakeholders group since the beginning, and I think that would be some pretty darn good visibility
Oh, you
if
bet.
Bill did that. Question, that's a frown, Mr. Dunbar.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's good. It's certainly good. I am worried that we're speaking to that kind of luncheon, and in general, our outreach is sort of to elites and people who are already very plugged in, like community councils and that kind of thing. And sort of, we're gonna struggle to get the message down to the sort of typical person who's not very plugged into politics. But we have to do everything, so that's good.
It would be great if we could make a presentation to one of Maltosa's groups, and I don't know when or what the names of those groups are, but I know he's got a huge following, the Samoan community.
Right. I think that, the mayor's office and Amy Kaufman are really plugged into those communities, and I'm really relying on them to assist us with that type of outreach. We do have a pretty diverse group on the stakeholders group, and most of those people were contacted. We tried to make sure that we had representation from most communities in Anchorage, different religious groups, business. We really did try to get everything. It's not going to be perfect, and I think community councils is good. Anything that you can tell us to do, please let us know, and we'll, get the word out however we can.
Okay, sounds good.
And those are what we call our big rocks. And so that was it for the big rocks. I would like to show you this. So, show and tell. This is what the outer envelope looks like. This is your security envelope. But how do you like that? Vote by mail is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So what you're going to get with your ballot, it's going to be like this.
Make sure the address shows through the window, or your
Right.
signature shows through the window.
So your name is going to be printed here on the return envelope, and it'll have a barcode with your voter ID. It's scrambled a little bit, and it has the precinct number would be there, the house district. There's some other variable data there, so you'll be able to look at that and see what precinct you're in. And then you get your official ballot. So we've got some, information on the back. And then when you open it up, it's going to have your ballot, the security envelope, and then this. So we've got instructions here. Vote your ballot, sign the declaration on the front of this envelope, and return it post office, Dropbox, or accessible vote center. We've got our contact info. So, and then we've also got the same instructions here. You're going to get your I voted sticker will be on the back of the envelope, so you can take it off and put it on. And then on this side, you can put your return address, your signature. And then here's the little reminder. This is really important, the voter declaration here. It feels a little long, but it does say, I am voting the ballot provided to me by the municipality of Anchorage, and then you sign. So we want, and it's going to have your name right here. We're really trying to get voters. You cannot put your husband's ballot in your envelope. It's only one ballot per envelope. And that one is a little bit of a concern. We have a ballot that has some instructions on it, but we don't, if you'd like to take a look at that, we don't have the ability to put on the ballot, put only one in the envelope. We could probably maybe make we're going to make a couple of other changes. This is just for the mock election. And obviously you can see that the window isn't quite right, so we're going to switch that.
Interesting. So we don't actually have a copy of the ballot, the mock election ballot?
I can get you one if you want to see it.
I just thought it might
King County does this, and they pull it off. So I think it'll ask them to be trained to send one ballot per envelope.
What's that?
King County does this, one ballot per envelope.
Sure.
Currently, I think we can do it here. You remember a few screw-ups along the way, but that's just life.
So what's the deal with the hole in there? Is that so that if you don't have it put in the envelope right, the holes don't line up, or?
It's empty. So we can tell so we don't have to open, the machine has a thickness detector, so it can tell if envelopes are too thick or too thin. So too thick or too thin are going to reject. You could have signed the envelope, but we could get it back and they can look at it and see it's empty. So that's going to be an immediate, it's not going for signature verification to Jackie's team. It's immediate letter that says your ballot envelope, return envelope was empty. You know, we made a decision that for those people, I think we're going to send them another ballot package. I'm not positive that that's the decision we've made. We may just immediately send them another ballot package and say, it was empty, vote again. You know, I don't want to say it was empty, go to an accessible vote center, or call us if you want a ballot. So we may just send them a ballot. But that's exactly what that's for, is to tell that it's empty. And then when we're over here, and we're processing, we're emptying the ballots out of the envelopes, you should have a whole big stack of these that you can see through, all right? And then the same with the envelopes. You've got a whole big stack that you can see through, so you know you didn't miss any ballots.
All right.
Two theories for that. So I think that covers just about everything. Can you think of anything else that we need to talk about for a vote by mail update, Jackie?
Yeah, I cannot. You did a really comprehensive presentation.
All right. Well, we seem to be making progress. We'll probably get at our next month's meeting, we will probably already processed most of those ballots, and we'll know who the winner is, or what the winner is.
That is true. So we should probably talk about a date for that meeting, and we can report out to you about what happened at the mock election.
Let's take a look at the calendar here.
Because typically it would be kind of later in the month. You might not want to.
27th is like the fourth Wednesday.
27th of December?
Yes.
2 days after Christmas? we plan?
No, I'm just saying, or the 20th,
I'm
is the
actually
third
fine with
Wednesday.
that.
What about the
That's
week
fine.
before that? What's the week before the 20th?
The week before the 20th, that would be the 13th of December, so that'd be the day after, so that's actually...
Oh, that's a Wednesday.
That would be a little too
Yeah.
soon.
So it's,
So possibly on the 20th, that which would be the day after our second assembly meeting.
Okay.
Next month. Does that, what do you think about that?
20th?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a committee on homelessness that day. I actually have, for some reason on this calendar, I already have us scheduled for the 27th, but
And we could go for the 27th. Do you want to just do our regular meeting?
yeah, I mean, I said that, but actually it's true. If Christmas is on Monday, that means we'd have the whole weekend and that day and Tuesday. I think we could be ready to do work.
I think we'll be ready.
All right.
I should still be in town.
And we'll know what happened with the mock election by then.
Right. So you'll be able to tell us how everything worked perfectly.
Well, actually, we're hoping to break as much as we can. We want people like Dick's son to try to vote, and we're gonna set up a little. These printers over here are called Oki Data printers that Jackie ordered, and those printers will print on ballot stock. So that way we are just printing ballots on demand instead of having tons of extra ballots up here.
So we have the capability of printing ballots ourselves now?
We do, but it's still on a limited basis. You have to make sure the timing marks are set up and they're correct. It's a limited basis. So like at our accessible vote centers, we have some of our LURSAs where there's probably 5 people in our LURSAs.
Right.
Well, if you order ballots from a printer, you get 50, and that's 150 because I've got 3 accessible vote centers. So that's really an expensive way for 5
people to vote, right.
Right, when they already got mailed a ballot. So if those people come in, we'll print them a ballot. And so that's what that's for. That's for the accessible vote centers. So we're going to test those over here. So that'll be one of our test issues. That'll be kind of fun. Can we print from those? Can Dick's son vote? Yeah, he's going to vote. We're going to let everybody vote, but it'll get rejected. That's the plan.
I'll get Rick to do that.
All right. Fantastic. Well, any audience participation? I don't see anyone in the audience. So, any other comments or questions from anyone here at the meeting
You guys are
today?
doing a good job. We appreciate it.
I would really like to thank this committee and the Assembly for the $300,000 that was in the budget and that you proposed as an amendment.
I thanked Ethan about half an hour ago. Thank you for putting in the budget. It made it easier for us. Didn't have to get the assembly members to raise their hands to do that.
Right.
Thank you all very much.
Well, and thank you for the update, and I hope everyone has a fantastic Thanksgiving tomorrow, and I look forward to attending the Great Alaska Shootout on Friday and Saturday. I have my tickets, and I'll be doing my Christmas shopping, buying the 40th anniversary Great Alaska Shootout memorabilia.
Great idea.
Yeah, there'll be collector's items at some point in the future. So, anyway, thank you very much. We are adjourned.